Well, hey everybody, it's the 14th day of June 2026. I'm Jan Erickson, and this is As Above, So Below. Well, I hope you're having a good week here. We're going to start this out with throwing a rune from the Elder Futhark bag. If one will ever fall in my hand. We have Ansu's. Now, Ansu's is known as Odin's rune. It's the fourth rune from the Elder Futhark. It's about divine message or spirit communication. Also, eloquence is another keyword for Ansu's. But it's that idea of the message you're giving out, that you're expressing is literally from higher consciousness or higher awareness. It's not governed by ego. So there could be something here, there they are, something here this week that you need to be diplomatic or tactful with. Let's see, things not very centered here. No, I guess we'll go with it. Don't know what happens in the room. Nobody comes in here but me, that I know of. But no human comes in here. No animal, nothing. The only animals I have now are chickens. So, they're not allowed in the house, not anymore. They were when they were little. They were babies, but not now. What have we got here? There's fire, there's air. So, we have Pur. Now, Pur and Puella, or Puella, are the youthful energies of the Geomancy rune set. I don't know, it shows me looking weird here. Something else. I'll go over here. That's better. Anyway, Puella and Pur are the youthful energies of the Geomancy runes. Whereas Puella or Puella is little girl energy. Pur is little boy energy. So it's energy that is... there it is. It's energy that is somewhat unstable. It's impulsive, not in a negative way necessarily. I had two boys, and so, I kind of know what that's all about. But anyway, here's Pur. Here would be Puella, the little girl side of things. But both really are about unstable, unpredictable energies that are very, they don't see the bigger picture, so they don't understand the ramifications of what they do. So you may have a child or someone else in your life, if they're not a child, that is having some difficulty with that, and you're going to have to be diplomatic and tactful. Like, for example, if it's a neighbor, or if it's, say at work or something, or if it's somebody else's child that maybe, maybe you're a grandparent and it's your grandchild. You got to be a little careful there when you're telling your grandchild what to do, because the parents might not be happy about that, but it needs to be done, and maybe they're not present when whatever happens, right? And so you have to be careful how you say things, unless you already have an agreement that, grandma and grandpa can say, if you see something, deal with it. If it's something like that and everyone's comfortable with what that's going to look like, then you can do that. But it still means you need to be a little bit careful. So if it's something like that, it could be a grandchild or something that's having a moment, like they all do. Or maybe just it's a teachable moment for them. And that's really, that would be a good way to explain this connection between Ansu's and Pur here. Now, if it's an impulse control within yourself, then, it's the idea of letting higher consciousness or higher awareness, sort of tap you on the shoulder and say, you really can't be doing this stuff. You need to watch your impulse control. You got to watch your ego and something like that. So it could be that inner voice that comes through and cautions you in how you express yourself and all of that. But my immediate sense here is that Pur is representing somebody else that you are going to have to be tactful and diplomatic with to try to get them to see that, hey, this isn't workable or something. So, but let's see what the cards have to say. And, but again, I mean, it could be just a lack of impulse control with yourself. And you hear this inner voice saying, maybe you want to rethink that. So it could be something like that. So I'm going to cut the deck, take the lower half, draw 3 cards. Well, we have a dominance of cups here today. So cups is our emotions. It's also movement. It's like it has this. I mean, it could be about emotional boundaries. Anything to do with cups is, you know, love, reciprocity, healing. But again, you know, it could be something where, you know, like with the Queen of Cups, we don't have her today, but, you know, she can be a little metally and she can have trouble with boundaries and things like that. And so that could be cups as well. But generally speaking, you're looking at compassion and love and empathy and change. You look at how water, if you've ever seen water move in a place it's not supposed to, if you've ever been there. I mean, we see it on video when you see flooding and things like that. You see that water has a tremendous power to create change and to forge new directions and things like that. So we think that there's a balance between intellect and emotions, but I don't think so. I think that what really motivates us is this emotion within, where either we need control or we don't have control, or we need to change a situation because maybe we've had a fight with our spouse or something, an argument. We want to come back together. So that to me is more about cups than and it just seems to be that foundation of everything is our emotions. And if you think about, you know, all that is, and the resonance of the universe that all that is creates, that's a resonance of love, and so that would be represented in the tarot by the suit of cups. The other card we have here is swords, and it's the Queen of Swords. And again, I've told you guys that, and I don't think I have it here, do I? Maybe. Oh yeah, okay. This is my favorite Queen of Swords card. It's from the Thoth Tarot. And I love the Queen who sits on her crystalline throne in the clouds, holding a sword in one hand and a severed head in the other. That to me is the quintessential Queen of Swords. My favorite card. Anyway, we'll leave that there and not worry about that. But anyway, we start with the Queen of Swords. Before we do that, let me do the numerology really quick. Now, of course, with the Queen, we don't have any number associated with anybody in the court, but we do have with Ansu's, there's a 4. Plus, we have the 2 of Cups. Plus, we have the 6 of Cups. So there we're looking at 12. Let me do it one more time. So we have 4 plus 2 plus 6 equals 12. 1 and 2 is 3. So 3 is going to be about communication and integration and just basically, well, it can be about coming together in some, like with the 3 of Pentacles, for example, you're coming together into some kind of discussion about the type of work that guy in the picture is doing. And so we'll just say discussions and communication and balance, triple, like mind, body, spirit balance, or just plain balance. Like the triangle has 3 points, essentially. You're looking at that type of structure there where you've got the groundedness in the bottom part and then the peak at the top. So that's really what 3 is about. But let's see. And again, if it's communication, it's the type of communication. We'll just settle with that, given we got Ansu's and Poor, where you might have to, again, be diplomatic in what you say to somebody here who's kind of lost control or something, you know. And like with kids, our grandkids, they get a little rowdy, you know, and because they're just having fun. They don't know any better. And even if they do, they're just having fun. And that matters more than anything else, right? Especially if they can get grandpa to have fun with them. That's a lot of fun there, you know, because he'll get down on the ground with them and on the floor and play and, you know, do things. And they just love him. So I think he's their favorite person. But anyway, it's just that sort of thing, I think, today. We're just gonna stay with communication with somebody here. Now, the Queen of Swords. Here's the thing with the Queen of Swords. You know, you look at the sword as straight up and down. When you look at the king, it's sort of askew a little bit. So I don't trust that guy. But the Queen, she beckons you to come forth. And you can see her hand reaching out there, beckoning the person to come forward. But she needs truth. She's not going to suffer fools. That's the thing about the Queen of Swords. She does not suffer fools, not at all. And so you have to be honest with that queen. And the thing about, if you are going to be expressing yourself to somebody, being a little bit eloquent, being diplomatic, and all of that, with this individual who's having trouble settling down with their impulses, you can't manipulate that person. Okay. And so I think that not only are you going to demand truth from that other person, but they need to also have the same from you. There can't be any kind of manipulation where you're trying to do that to get them to settle down. You just have to say, look, this is what I need from you right now. And, we're not going to discuss it. We're just going to, you know what's going on, and I trust you to do the right thing, to take the right correction here. So that's the thing. She's assertive, but again, she's going to demand truth from you. She's not going to want, and again, she's going to give the same to you. There's going to be this fairness. There's going to be this dignified way and again, with Ansus, that's essentially the same thing, where you have to be the parent in the room, essentially, whether it's with a child or whether it's an adult. You've got to be the parent in the situation, and you can't play games with them. You have to have as much dignity, in other words, as you expect them to have. And so I think that's how I see the queen in this one. Here you have an interesting card. I really like this card. You can look at this as a card of healing, or the decision to heal. And the reason I say the decision is because we're looking at 2. 2 is about love and healing and balance, but it's also about making decisions. And here, it looks to me like this fellow here is making the decision to reach out to the woman. You can see him step toward her. She's standing perfectly still, but they're both reaching out their chalices to one another, in love and healing. So maybe there was, again, an argument where somebody maybe the guy just stepped in it a little bit, and he's coming back. He's making the decision to heal his relationship with his partner. We'll say that. You see the caduceus here and the winged lion there, all about inner strength and healing. And you can see their home in the background here. And they've stepped away from whatever was going on there into another area here. You see this dual line of demarcation. So that to me is saying, if you need to talk to somebody today about their behavior, or this week rather, about their behavior, you need to remove them from the moment, especially if there's other people around. You need to have a private moment with that person and step away from whatever's going on. If there's chaos or whatever, maybe somebody at work just freaks out or something. And rather than dealing with it in front of other people, you might want to go ahead and take a step away and be the one who initiates the conversation here. And it doesn't make any difference if you're female or male in this. It's just that on the masculine side or projective side, they're going to take that initiation, and to begin that conversation of, okay, here's what I saw. This is what we need to do, and it needs to happen, and essentially help that person be calm and realize that, okay, you're kind of out of control, and this is not going to work for anybody, and let's just settle down, and that way we can return and do what needs to be done. It could be something like that. Here you have the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups, I like this card. I like it. There's always this unevenness, apparently, with the sixes in the Rider-Waite Tarot. And the unevenness is this person has all of and again, we don't really know for sure. It could be that this is the woman who has all of the cups and the flowers in them and is just handed it to this person. They're just leaning over because the older lady is shorter than this one is here. But if it's not, it doesn't really matter either way. But this is an expression of offering. It's an expression with the six of compassion and just trying to do something nice for somebody else, and you have the ability to do that. And so I think that how this card is then going to play into the others is essentially if you show empathy, and that's part of the communication talked about from higher self with Ansus. If you show the compassion necessary to that other person who is in need of that, obviously. I mean, maybe they're just upset about something and they just can't get a handle on their emotions, and so they're acting out or whatever. Maybe starting, arguments with people or something. But if you drop resistance to the whole thing, and you just offer that type of compassion and support and understanding for the other person, you look here, you see the X here, and whenever I can see a rune in a card, I like that. And X is Gebo. Gebo is the 7th rune of the Elder Futhark. It's about balanced energy exchange with others. It's the gift of reciprocity. So if that's the case, then we may have some reciprocity here between these two people. Maybe one has done something nice for the other, and now they're just returning that sort of thing. But if you're talking about having a higher consciousness-based conversation with somebody else who's out of control, showing them that you're not anybody to fear, showing them, that person, that you're there on their side, you're there to understand the situation, you're there to give to them essentially your time and your support, and not just lay down the law with them. At some point you're just going to have to define the boundaries, but in the beginning you probably don't want to do that. You just want to say, what's going on? And not in a way where, especially if you're the boss or the supervisor, where now they think they're in trouble. Just, it's like, I'm a friend here. I just want to know what's going on with you. What's happening here, because I sense some things are off. You seem upset. You seem emotional. And so I want to know what's going on with you. So if there's anything I can do to help, so fill that cup first, essentially, and then move on to here's how it's going to be. I need this from you. If you need to take a day to yourself, you need to take a day off, consider it a mental health day. Just go home. If there's things going on in your life that are distracting you and upsetting you, and you need to go deal with them, by all means, go. It's fine. Have the type of conversation with them that's not ego based. You're not getting angry with them. You're trying to find out what's going on, and be their partner, be their support system. And I think when you do that, when you stay away from the judgment, I mean, ultimately you're going to have to say, look, this isn't working. But fill up the cup first with love and healing and support and compassion, and then express yourself that way to them. When they see that you're not the enemy, and you're not somebody that's going to come down on them in a way that's maybe lose their job, they don't need to be fearful of that. They just need to hear that you're somebody that's safe, that is willing to talk to them in a way that is, again, compassionate and supportive and with empathy. And they may just settle down right then. You may not have to set boundaries from them at all. But being someone who's honest with them and having integrity and being very truthful and not manipulating them or trying to manage them in any way. You're probably, you might have to get to that point. But if you stay in that loving type of space with them, then it may just resolve itself on its own. And oftentimes it does. So think about that. If something like that comes up for you this next week, just remember to, rather than getting into it with them or demanding this or that right off the bat, just stay in their space with them. And so that they know that they're not alone and that somebody actually cares about what's going on with them. And you may, again, not even have to set boundaries at all. So anyway, that's it. Have a wonderful week. And if your garden is growing, mine's growing. We put in the last of everything yet. Well, I think we have a couple more watermelon and cantaloupe plants that need to harden off before we put them out there. But we put the others out there yesterday. They looked really good this morning, so they made it through the night. So We have a lot of wind here, and it just can just dry things out terribly. And so sometimes we have trouble getting seeds to come up. And so we're kind of waiting with bated breath on the carrots because I replanted. And so I don't know. We'll see what happens. It is what it is, though, right? It really is. So anyway, thanks for watching. And come back again next Sunday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.